I was a tad surprised at the calibre of players that Anthony put on the field. He went very strong, which I think shows us a tremendous amount of respect. I was in many ways pleased that he hadn't put out an also-ran team. They settled into the game very well, I felt. They showed some nice quality in possession. He's got some really technically gifted players. And in the opening exchanges, I thought they showed their calibre. I think what we're seeing, though, from this group that I've got is a tremendous amount of pride and passion when they play for such a young outfit. I think you've got a group of guys tonight as well that have seen an opportunity to go and really make a mark. You've got guys in that locker room who have either been passed up at a certain time at this level or at MLS level. You've got guys that have achieved something at that level, and you've got guys that want to be at that level. So any way you look at it, you had a group of guys out there that were going to give absolutely everything and wear their heart on their sleeve for the night. And once the game unfolded, I thought we actually settled into it quite nicely. We managed the game very well. I didn't ever feel that on a field that lively and obviously a different surface that we normally play on at home. I didn't feel there were going to be bundles of chances, and it proved that way. They were limited to very few, I believe, actually no shots on target, and we were not too many more, but made the most of it. And when you're playing in these very tight cup games, certainly against opposition that are very capable, I think there's two things you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to threaten and be effective at one end of the field. And when the game turns against you, against a good side, you've got to have enough discipline and appreciation of how to work together to navigate that. And I don't think by any stretch it was just a rearguard action. We had our moments. Certainly they had better possession. And on the side, you might have expected that. But in front of goal, we certainly looked the more creative, the more threatening, and without a shadow of a doubt, we showed more edge and ruthlessness when it really came down to it. And I think that was the difference in the night.
Is that as organized as you guys have been defensively big time?
No. I think it's a regular occurrence. I've got a group of guys that when they've got the ball, they've really absorbed and appreciated each other and combined ever so well. We've seen some really good talent on display on both sides. Some of the interaction, Lebo and Brandon, and when Republic came on, he enters the game like a crazed individual. He's just so keen to make a mark on the game, but he also shows some wonderful talent. And then, maybe in his best moment, other than the goal, ends up scoring 3 points through the bigger goal that stands up straight. It's a mixture at the moment with his game, but without a shadow of a doubt, we've seen tonight a group of players from Nashville that I think have represented them to the greatest degree against the most talented group to date with tremendous pride. And we've won the game, and deservedly so.
Gary, the position of Lebo and Lagrasa on each half was something that you tactically planned, or just happened again?
Yeah. No, I wanted the three, would be classed as pure central midfield guys to play in the first half. I honestly thought that there might be a better way of winning and stealing possession in that midfield third. And I wanted Lebo to be in a position where he was a little bit freer to run and maybe come off the touchline and join the striker. And on a field that was very lively, I felt that was maybe the best position for him to have the most effect. When I looked at the way the first period unfolded, it made sense in my mind to maybe put him into a more natural position. LaGrassa has played wide as well, and he gives us some really nice dimensions. Not so much so going forward, but his possession's good, his choices are good. He's a workaholic, and I just honestly thought at half time that might help us, and I think it did. I've got, as I've said numerous times, good players on the line that can either help us win a game or change a game. And I think Rapapa has come on. The second goal was key. I mean, it's vital to seeing a game out. They were always going to be a little bit more ambitious with what they were trying to do. They put 2 up front. They certainly threw caution to the wind a little bit more, and to score the second goal at that time, I think really deflated them, and the writing was on the wall from that moment, especially when you're not getting much on target. We were so frugal in the way that we played, and certainly when they entered our half of the field, they found it very, very difficult. Surely that's a sign of a good team. Team that can score goals and a team that don't concede goals.
I've been joking with my office calling this the Gary Smith revenge game. Is this one feel a little bit special too? I know it's been a couple years, but feel a little bit.
It's been more than a couple. Of course, I said from the very outset, if we'd have been playing LA Galaxy or Real Salt Lake, any other team from MLS, I would be just as excited as I am now, because I know what those players are capable of. I want them to do well, obviously, and I want the fans to see constantly how hard they're working and how much pride they play with. So tonight was no different. It added spice to it, of course, because I've been there. But I've said to numerous people, it's been a long time. There's a lot of water under the bridge since I left there. I know Anthony very well. He's a lovely guy. They've still got Connor Casey on the staff. Chris Sharp's their goalkeeping coach. They're all wonderful people, and I'm delighted to win. There's an added little bit of excitement, of course, but I had a great time there. I have no axe to grind with anyone who's there at the moment. I had a few axes to grind before, but not now. All those people are left.
In a really competitive game, does it take a little pressure off to get a stroke of luck and have the own goal put in and kind of let you guys play a little freer?
I think it changes the game. When you score, there's maybe a slightly more efficient way of managing the game. Although at 1-0, it's just nobody's defending their goal at 1-0. They're too good. They're too creative. They've got too many players in the side that can change a game. So therefore, it's not a case of saying, okay, we can defend our half now for the next 45, 50 minutes. That wouldn't have worked. But there's no doubt by scoring, and it was a tad fortuitous, but I think if I recollect, we just started to turn the screw a little bit. Justin had a terrific delivery just before that, popped back out to him. There was a nice little combination, and it is about putting players under pressure. If you can deliver into good areas, if you can build some pressure and get bodies in dangerous areas, defenders are concerned, and they do strange things. And I think was it Marlon Hairston who turned it in?
It was a 0.
A 0? Yeah. Okay. I mean, he looked like he was trying to recover. He hadn't quite got his footing right. The ball was a good one. As a defender, you see that many times. He's trying to do his utmost for the team, and for them it's unfortunate. For us, it's a goal that breaks the deadlock and gives us an awful lot to fight for.
Gary, can you talk about this several-month stretch here for soccer in Nashville? Everything from you guys getting underway, getting on a roll, winning this game, and the MLS also being awarded here as well. How big a stretch this has been for Nashville?
I think from the very outset, the league season starting. If I start there, I know there's been a tremendous amount of build-up. Actually, I think the under 23 group last year did a wonderful job of really setting the scene and giving the fans an opportunity to see maybe what comes next. But there's been so much happen. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever been involved in an organisation where it almost felt like weekly there were big announcements. You know, whether that was season tickets, whether that was, you know, MLS, which is obviously one of the bigger announcements, staff coming on board, then the players coming on. I mean, it was just non-stop. I'd like to think that as a technical staff now, we've started to show some really good signs. I'm talking about the players and obviously the coaches. In a very short space of time, I think we've been able to bring together a group of players that have never been in a building before to slowly adopt a style and an image and a style of play to entertain. Certainly when we're at First Tennessee, I don't think anyone's going to complain about the entertainment value. The supporters have been reciprocal. It's been incredible support, even tonight. You know, it was wonderful. They were so vocal, and it makes an incredible difference. And I think the small steps that are taken, obviously some of the announcements are that much bigger, but there have been so many small steps taken in a positive direction. And I think we're at a point now where the team is playing well. You know, we're on a good unbeaten run, and we're coming to the end of, said before, a very, very tough opening schedule for such a young team. And I think we've done a very good job of managing that. There'll be other teams that have won more games, but looking at their schedules, who they've played against, and maybe more home games, and that'll all balance itself out. But just in terms of what you're asking me, I think the momentum has continued to build, whether that's through decisions off the field or on it. And I think we've all, as an organisation, I think we've all done an incredibly good job of making sure that the product on and off the field, the way that the players conduct themselves, I think the way the staff have represented the club has been phenomenal. I mean, it really has. And, you know, to that degree, I can only say at this point, the ownership group has been incredibly supportive. And, you know, I think when you do get good people, and I've got incredibly good staff in the technical department, the players are wonderful characters, they're very genuine, they're intelligent and hard-working. There's a lot of qualities in that locker room. And I think, you know, the club itself is represented from above as well by the ownership group and the senior staff in such a positive fashion. And I'd like to think that we're making an incredible impression in the community.
One more on Rapapa. You kind of touched on him earlier, but a guy comes in. I think that was his first touch on the ball right off the bench there. What does that do for the team moving forward? That you know that you got a guy that can come in, touch the ball once, and all of a sudden you get a goal.
Well, Brandon's come in and been a revelation, and I actually thought he played very well tonight. The two centre backs, especially Smith, who I've known from back in England, not personally but as a player. Very strong and experienced individual, and there were times that were really tough for him, but he showed, you know, such good character and wherewithal to continue and to link up and to, you know, battle away at times when the life he was having up there was very difficult. But I always know at this point in time that I've got some very good options, and if he's not Rapapa, maybe Tucker Young, who's a very different type of player, but there are times when we might need that. Today it was Rapapa. The one thing that I would ask and do with the players all the time is that when you're entering the game, can you raise the bar and raise the guys that are on there? You know, the fact is, a lot of those players have given and exerted a tremendous amount of energy, and they're looking for individuals to come out there and help them in the task at hand.